you could now take this idea and push it as far as you want to, right? So instead of thirds, right, maybe I want something really far up, like that. Right now, wow, that's a major difference. That's like super high contrast, right? I have this really narrow shape at the top and a very large shape at the bottom. You know, everyone sort of doodles in their own way. Me personally, I like being organized. So this is kind of how I doodle. You know, I'll start doing stuff like this. See, now what I'm doing is I want to put another line above this horizontal, and I'm aware of the width of this one, and I'm aware of the width of the one at the top, and I want something different, so I'm like, oh, how thick should I go? Something like that. So that's very different than any of the other ones. And I can still put maybe a really narrow shape in here and break these up like so. I know it's craziness, but this is what I'll do. You know, my brain will just start like breaking it down, and there's rationalization behind it too. That's the strangest part. You know, is I'll take this. I'm very aware of the prior shapes that I've already made, and I'm trying to just create an interesting composition. You know, these are just straights, right? I can add triangles to these, or even just putting angles into it would start creating triangles, or put curves, you know, into this, and all of a sudden this could become a character design. I could take this and just use it as a grid, right? Literally as a grid. Or I can go a step further than the grid and push this also towards saying that it's a character that's based off of the rectangles also. Let's just play around with it for a little bit. Let's just see what happens, right? I can definitely already see a face in it, but I'd like to have this be something else. I keep thinking I want this square to be the face, so I'm just going to sketch. Oh, that's kind of interesting. I was going to stick the whole face in this one little box. He's holding a telephone or something to his head. Right now. Maybe this is his shin. Maybe this is his hair. Maybe he's got like a mohawk. I don't know what this is. Maybe this is a sideburn. This is his ear. You can see how crazy this is, but I have to tell you, even just me drawing this right now, I don't feel like this is the kind of thing I've seen, because it's so extreme, right? If you think about the grid that I originally created, it is so extreme of a grid. His hair goes all the way down. So maybe this is his other arm. So right now what I'm doing is I'm using this as a measuring grid, as a guide, right? The shapes aren't all necessarily rectangular. So here's like a shoe and here's his leg. It's like this. It looks like almost a crazed Indian. I would add in here just that I wanted this to be a phone, so maybe I'll add in the phone here. It's got like a cell phone. Maybe it's got like a little antenna on it. It also says something. It's kind of interesting that he's on the phone and yet he's got this giant ear on one side and it's all about him being on the telephone, so it feels like it's conceptual as an illustration. And we can take this further and further and further. If I were to say he's an Indian, I can look into Indian culture and start checking out patterning and so on, and figure out how to bring that into this also, and just keep playing with it and playing with it. So there you go. So we can use that guide to have a starting point. Personally, this is how I like to start. I typically come in from somewhere really graphic and abstract. You don't have to come in from this way, but it's another tool. And what I want you guys to be aware of is the tools that you have at your fingertips to create character designs. That's really what this whole class is about.